Hello, it's Simon. It's Monday afternoon, and we've got some blue sky peeping out behind the clouds and the rain today. So as I've come out, I've been thinking about what to share, as I always do before I make these videos. And there's really a couple of things that are really present for me today. The first is this idea of pause, stop, reset. If you know me, I've been talking about it now, championing these ideas for several years and learning how to use them myself in different ways. In my personal life, in my business life, in every area right now, we're having to pause. I think whether we like it or not, we're having to pause. And inside of that space, there's a couple of options. We can get very angry, very frustrated, or we can allow ourselves to go, you know what, let's stop. Let's actually just stop doing what we were doing and really consider from a blank slate what's next. And there are some people that are doing that and having tremendous aspects. They reset their life and business, and other people having a real challenge, often because this is who they were and they manage to collapse what they do and who they are. And that leads me into the second thing that I'm present to, this aspect of the games we're playing. We talk about that as focus on B, or the Merlin method, and this whole aspect of starting with the end in mind. Now, as a child, when you come out to some grass like this, different people will do different things. Some may play hide and seek, some may play a ball or throw a stick around, some may play with gardening, some may look into nature and study the ants and the butterflies and the bees. There's all these things that we get to choose as a human being. But often we take on the games that other people set up for ourselves, and some of those may not be working for us. Some of those games may have worked really well up to now, but they may not work into the future. And if I look back at one of the most grateful for, is I was given the chance as a child to play different games, and even as an adult to learn and develop new ways of playing games and thinking about games, learning how to learn quickly, how to follow. And that whole aspect of what is life about, I think, is so vital to consider. One of my clients earlier today, she was talking about how right now she has a book that she's already sold copies of but hasn't written. And when she started this idea for the book several years ago, she was very passionate about it. But now the idea that she wants to sort of champion and explore is bigger than that original idea. And I was saying the thing to do actually is just take a pause and be with it, because there isn't a requirement to do something about that right now. Now, in life, there will be times when you actually have not a huge amount of time to interact, to respond. You need to actually respond in the moment, because there might be a short window. Let's take a physical thing. If a tree was falling down behind me right now, me meditating for an hour hits me on the head isn't going to work out well. I need to move quickly and take that action in the moment. But I only do that if I'm present, if I'm aware of my options, and I actually give myself a chance to respond or let my body, my systems react. And sometimes things happen when you're least expecting. Often in the old days, there'd be a hurricane overnight or a storm in the UK overnight, and you'd wake up and these trees have fallen on the train lines, and you'd be like, what happened? So things will always happen that you don't expect. The nature of it is there's everything you can imagine and things you can't, and then there's the infinite aspects of life in the universe. So we can know that, and we can plan for what if, we can do that game. But the truth of it, it's learning to come from a different place and interact differently with your environment. And right now, if we go into this third aspect of what we're doing really groundedly, if we go up to sharing our solutions and other things happening globally, we have to be present to, I think, really, that to even watch this video, we are so far ahead of where often our great-grandparents were in some ways. And in others, we've got so distant from what it actually means to be a human being, to survive on the planet, that it's profound. And it's not a trivial thing to change that around. The shirt I'm wearing, I didn't make. The camera I'm using, the iPhone I'm using to film this, I didn't make. So we rely on other people. Now, if you go back a few generations, there was much more of a manual nature to life, a creating and bartering. And yes, you might not have done everything yourself, and yes, we already had machines and we had buildings and we had constructions, but there was a greater understanding of how those things were done and how you could learn to do it. So it's quite exciting that knowledge has increased, technology has increased, and it makes it harder to be a complete comprehensivist, to understand the range and breadth of things. And let's take the simplest thing, drinking water. If I challenge you right now to go out and find drinking water for yourself and a family and your neighbours, maybe 10 people, how easily could you do that? Now, I know my granddad back in Newcastle, he would know where the rivers were. He'd know where he could cycle and go get water. Often even had a well they could go draw upon. Today I'm here in Tunbridge Wells. It's challenging. Yes, there's a lake up the road, but it's not clean drinking water. And even though we know that it's important, we know that drinking is so important, we don't necessarily have those skills. Now, I'm not asking you to step into that space of being a survivalist with your own nuclear holocaust, nuclear bomb shelters. in place with tins and all those things. That's not what I'm asking you to do. But just to get really present to what's actually important and how you need to learn the skills you need to learn to play the games you want to play. Now what those games are, well, that comes down to you, right? You get to choose. And if you haven't thought about that for a while, maybe it's time to do that. We've been reviewing the life and business blueprints, this whole aspect of thinking about, like you would a house, what do you want to create for yourself? And it's so easy to get into this sort of momentum of things happening, and even with clients with a new business and a new startup, and suddenly you find yourself with all this stuff to do, which may not actually be what you wanted. And often, it's not till you start doing something, you have the experience of it, you're living and breathing it, that you really know what it's like. I remember my 3 months in Hawaii, and 3 months there was so different to what I imagined. And I could have watched all the videotapes, all the ideas of being out there, but till you're actually out there walking around, driving around, seeing what's on the ground happening and how it changes day by day with the weather and the seasons, well, you've got no idea. No real idea, but we can imagine. And that ability to imagine and to visualize, to experience, is going to improve. That's my projection, that's my guess, that's what I'm proposing. And actually what I'm working with my partners is making it easier for you to try on new things, to learn from people's experiences. Because you can. The joy of being a human being today is you can learn lessons that I can share, others can share, and you can choose what you learn and who from as you get better at learning, as asking questions and searching for what you want to find. And fingers crossed, we'll still have these resources available in the future. When I was growing up, we didn't have the internet today. You couldn't go on YouTube and listen to music and literally learn how to play guitar, how to sing, how to make websites, how to write books. These things weren't available in the same way. And I hope they continue. But we have to be clear what we're looking to create. Now for me, some of that is about health. I'm clear for me that having the ability to move, to breathe, to communicate, to listen and speak is really important to me. I don't just mean listen with our ears, I mean actually have an ability to interact with other human beings. I've done exercises for myself where I spent some time by myself, often longer than you might imagine, not years, but in the days and weeks, almost months of being in a space of meditation and isolation and choosing to be in that space. And my preference is to spend quality time with quality people. I'm really grateful that I can talk to my friends on the phone, people I've worked with for years now, and we have an ability to have a different energy from the conversations. And that's often a function of me and them, and the games they're playing and I'm playing, and how we can play them together. And actually, we talk a lot about the win-win-win game. What if there's a way that we could all interact and collaborate? How could I help you get what you want? How can you help me get what I want in a way that's sort of sustainable, that can actually build momentum? But that requires a shift in focus. And many of us grew up playing tic-tac-toe or chess or other board games where there's winners and losers. How many games do you know and have you played that are really about collaborating and really encourage that? And often the game result you're looking for actually is not the end. We tend to go into a sprint mentality versus this infinite looping nature of life. So with that said, hopefully there's some value there. Hopefully there's a smile on my face. It's Monday and we're into an interesting time with what's happening globally, with what's happening in the world. We're coming up to a solstice on 21st of June. Whether you believe in that stuff or not, there are definitely impacts on our system. As the moon shifts around, it does impact the tides and the waves. There's definitely a difference in the summertime as we build up to these long nights and short nights. It impacts the systems around us. And they may impact you more than you realize. You might think you're not impacted by the weather and the sounds around you, but I promise you there's at some level there's a reaction or response to that. Maybe the clothes you wear, maybe what you do that day is going to change. And maybe it isn't, but I think it does. And so for me, as we build up to sharing our solutions at Future Population Summit, I'm really impressed by something that I'm seeing, which is that people are willing to have different conversations. Now that's a good start. Now the question then comes is, well, who should be speaking? Who should be listening? Where do we focus our time and attention? And what are good questions to ask? How do we move forward? Which goes back to the start of the video. What are the games you want to play? And what's a win? And how could you create that as a win-win-win so you're guaranteed to win just by being in the game? And you are in the game if you're watching this video. So thank you for watching this, and I will see you very soon, I hope. Bye for now.